Welcome back again, Forging Friends. We are on the 4th deck in this Dark Tidings unboxing. Today, on this side here, today we have a deck with, if I find the right side here to open, we've got a deck with Untamed, pardon me, Untamed, Unfathomable, and Star Alliance. We've got Green Baba Gruev. He's like flexing, look at that, flexing, doesn't have a head, but they're flexing their pecs, for sure. So let's see if we get a strong deck. Dropping down the Archon card, dropping down the Tide card, we are starting with Untamed. We have Youngest Bear, a 2-power creature with Reap. You may reap with one of Youngest Bear's neighbors. Can use some cards off house. Good to see. Got Myliobe, a 4-power creature, and while the tide is high, it gains Skirmish. And before fight, enrage the creature Myliobe fights and each of that creature's neighbors. Good to stop some of those nice Reap effect creatures. We got Mookling, a 2-power creature. Your opponent's keys cost plus X Amber, where X is Mookling's power. Really good, some Amber control there. We got 2 of those. Nice. We got Floomph, a 3-power creature with Skirmish, and fight, give a beast creature 2/+1 power counters. It's a good fighter. Got 2 of those. Chelonia, a 2-power creature with Elusive, and after you play another creature, if the tide is high, gain an Amber. It's like Hunting Witch, but you have to have a high tide, so good card to see. We got Assert Dominance, a action card with play. For the remainder of the turn, a friendly creature gains Skirmish. Ready and fight with that creature. Good card to use for fighting. All Tied Up, a action card with an Amber Pip. Play, if the tide is high, gain 1 Amber, otherwise raise the tide. Good to have some free tide cards. Ritual of Balance is an artifact with action. If your opponent has 6 Amber or more, steal 1. Good, get some extra steal on an Untamed turn. Gabuk is a 5-power creature with Destroyed. Discard the top card of your deck. If it's a creature, after Gabuk leaves play, put that creature into play in Gabuk's position in the battle line. So you can potentially replace itself if we have a lot of creatures. Hopefully we have a good number here. Embermancy is an action card with an Amber Pip. Play, remove up to 3/+1 power counters from a creature. Gain 1 Amber for each counter removed this way. Oh, that's a really good card, actually, to combine with that, that Floomph. You could, have these Floomphs fight a couple times, and you can get a good use out of this. That's really good. It can be up to a 4 Amber gain. Pretty cool. Moving on to Unfathomable, we have Storm Surge, an action card with play. Your opponent cannot ready cards during their ready card step of their next turn. That's really disruptive. That keeps a lot of their stuff, especially if you can exhaust it during the same turn. This could be kind of huge. And we got 2 of those. That's pretty cool. Got Sink or Swim, an action card with play. Choose one. Your opponent discards a random card from their hand or exhaust a creature and each of its neighbors. So we can combine this card with that Storm Surge, really keep them from using a lot of their board, which is great. We got the Seabringer Kakoa, a 7-power creature with Taunt and Destroyed, Raise the Tide. Very cool. Portal is an action card with an Amber Pip. Play, if the tide is high, archive Portal, otherwise raise the tide. Very cool. So you get an Amber Pip and you get an Amber, and you can either keep recurring it or just raise the tide for free. Very nice. Horrid Sinon is a 4-power creature with Poison. Good fighter. Take down some of those big creatures. Call of the Void, an action card with an Amber Pip. Play, exhaust a creature. If it was already exhausted, destroy it instead, and its controller loses 1 Amber. Pretty cool. Got Bubbles, a 5-power creature with play. Put an enemy creature on top of its owner's deck. Very disruptive, like that. VALOOCANTH, a 6-power creature, and while the tide is low, it cannot be used. And fight, reap, exhaust an enemy creature and each of its neighbors. Really good card. I mean, this card can, you're always going to take the tide, obviously, when you use this card, but it's super disruptive. Good stuff. We got 2 of those. That's great. Wow. Abandoned Ship is an action card with an Amber Pip. Play, return a creature to its owner's hand. If the tide is high, return 4 creatures to their owner's hands instead. Man, that is very overpowered. Oh man, Unfathomable is just crazy. That's insane. We have Thalassophobia, and a rare action card with an Amber Pip. Discard the top 10 cards of your opponent's deck. Really keep them from using a lot of their combo pieces potentially. That's a card we've seen before. I'd like to see that. We've got a Star Alliance now. We've got action card called Technobabble with an Amber Pip. Play, stun a creature and each of its neighbors that shares a house with it. Good. We have a lot of board disruption in this deck already. A lot of board disruption, which is great. Operative Espion is a 4-power creature with Elusive, and after a player raises the tide during their turn, they may use a creature they control. So it's you and your opponent. You get to use something off house, potentially. Very nice. Officer's Blaster is an upgrade with an Amber Pip. This creature gets +2 power, and this creature gets destroyed. Attach Officer's Blaster to this creature's right neighbor. So you can just have this thing run into a bunch of creatures, have the thing that this is equipped to, keep running into things, and keep equipping it to the next neighbor. Potentially get some other destroyed abilities too. That's cool. Lieutenant Valmart, a 3-power creature with Play, Fight, Reap. If the tide is high, keys cost +3 Amber during your opponent's next turn. Very good. Get some Amber control in there. We have the Grand Alliance Council in action with Play. Choose a creature of each house. Destroy each creature not chosen. Good board wipe. No chains. Gain from that. That's really good. Diplomat Agung. 2-power creature with Play, Fight, Reap. For the remainder of the turn, a friendly creature belongs to the house of your choice in addition to its other houses. So this lets us use more things off-house. Good board presence, good off-house so far. Very nice. We have Static Collection Array, an artifact with an Amber Pip. Your keys cost -1 while the tide is high and +1 while the tide is low. So basically, if your opponent sees that you're about to forge a key for cheap, they'll just take the tide. I don't know how useful that'll be. I mean, I guess if your opponent gets really high up there, they're not going to let you win with this card, I don't think. Sabotage Mission is an action card with an Amber Pip. Play, keys cost +1 for each different power value among friendly creatures during your opponent's next turn. So for every different power value you have, keys cost +1. So that's cool. Another way to keep them off key. Interesting. General Order 24, a rare artifact. At the start of each player's turn, they must choose a creature they control and destroy each creature of the chosen creature's house. If that player has no creatures in play, destroy this artifact. Okay, so that's a kind of a board wipe. I think if we have a lot of creatures, we might not want to play this, but if our opponent's board is kind of running away from us, this might be a really good play. Forging an Alliance, an action card with an Amber Pip. Play, forge a key at +7 current cost, reduced by 1 Amber to a maximum of 6 for each house represented among cards in play. Good to have a key cheat. I don't know if we'll be able to play this one super well, but we can see. I mean, we have, I think, a decent number of creatures per house, and so I think late game, once all 6 are out, we can possibly forge a key for 7 Amber. That's pretty cool. Comm Officer Gross, this is a included card with something else. It's got that weird symbol down here. I don't know what that's called exactly. 3-power creature with Play. You may search your deck for Comm Officer Hings, reveal it and put it into your hand, shuffle your deck. Fight, Reap, give a +1 power counter to each creature between Hings and Gross. Oh, okay, so this comes with Hings. And Play, you may search your deck for Gross. They're both 3-power creatures. Put it into your hand, shuffle your deck. Fight, Reap, draw 1 card from each creature between the two. Oh my gosh, that's some synergy right there. So they work together. You can find one or the other in your deck, but if one is in the discard pile, then you can't find it. So that's pretty cool. I mean, yeah, if you can get them out and you can protect them, and and then your opponent doesn't do anything about them, and you have a huge number of creatures between them, that would be, oh man, that could be insane. That could be some really good value. All right, let me go ahead and get to the counts, and I will be right back. Alright, welcome back to my desktop. I have the list of the counts on the left there. We have 18 creatures, pretty average amount of creatures. Amber on the cards 12 to 16, a lot of Amber in this Untamed here, from what I've seen. And on top of that, just a note before I forget, I think we have a pretty good combo. We have this Forging an Alliance, which is nice to have a key cheat, but then we also have this, where was it? Data collection? Yeah, so on our turn we can make our keys -1, and this Forging an Alliance will be a little bit easier to get activated. So in the late game, if we can keep that artifact out, late game, this could be a contender for a card we could play, which would be really cool. And then going down, we have 6 Amber control, a lot of one-offs as far as Amber control, and nothing really huge. Mookling could be really annoying for our opponent if we can get him, and then maybe a Flumph to pump him up with some counters. This Seabringer Cocoa to protect them potentially. So there's some potential there, but we'll really have to be diligent about our opponent's Amber. We can ritual balance them. We can do a few other things, but there's no big, huge Amber swing we can get away from them. So just something to be aware of. And then on top, the next one is artifact control. No artifact control. That's it's a thing we see, and we just have to kind of play around artifacts best we can. go into creature control. A lot of creature control in this, mainly in this Unfathomable. I love to see VALOOCANTH, especially in multiples, and then bubbles on top of that. We get these Storm Surges, which is really, really good, especially since we have a lot of these other cards that can exhaust our opponent's creatures. So it's really good. And then we're going to efficiency. We have 5 efficiency. Looking at Comm Officer Hings and Comm Officer Gross here. More Hings, she'll let us draw one if we can get her to stick around for a couple turns. Get a lot of value off of that if we can keep them on the flanks. I would have liked to see something with like deploy to add more things to the middle, but that's kind of asking for too much. I think getting her out, getting both of these out mid to late game, kind of a huge deal as far as keeping our deck efficient. We have like things like the Youngest Bear to play cards off house, which is really nice as well. And then recursion. I think I said 1 recursion because we have the Portal that can be archived. Whether or not you want to call that recursion. Nothing else that really gets things from our discard pile in particular. And disruption, we have 5 disruption. Mainly this Thalassophobia gets 10 cards out of our opponent's deck. Maybe a big combo piece. Maybe if they have a gigantic creature from Mass Mutations, we get rid of a half of it. So I think this is always a good play. Maybe, you know, if it's, you know, later in the game and our opponent, you know, all of their big combo pieces are in their discard pile, maybe not play this, just so that they're kind of, you know, waiting for their big combo pieces again. But I think early to mid game, this is a great play. So yeah, overall, I think this is a really interesting deck. I like the creature. I like the number of creatures. I like the just the tools it has. This it has a lot of board control tools, which is really good. A lot of I don't know if I mentioned the creature control. I forgot to mention the creature control is 13. Very, very high amount of creature control in this deck, mainly from the Unfathomable and the Star Alliance. You have the General Order 24, which when you're behind is a great card to play. Basically forces both sides to get rid of one entire house on their board. I think it's just creatures, right? Yeah, each creature of the chosen house. So that's really good. And then we have smaller creatures like that can play cards off house. And so we have a lot of ways of handling our opponent's board. So that's a big board control-y deck. It's not going to have the best fights, although we do have some good fighting ability with the assert dominance and things like that, and some higher power creatures throughout the deck. But yeah, I'm really kind of excited to play this one. It's hard because I don't have too many Unfathomable decks, especially ones that look this exciting. So I'll still put it in the 60s, but I'm going to give it a 68. I'm going to say that this might be valued a little bit higher, right? I'm going to be a little more optimistic, right? I'm going to say 68. All right, so let's see what we got. I have the link copied already. We're going to go to Dexa Keyforge and import this one. And I'm locking in my 68. Go ahead and make your guesses now. Let's see what we got. 65, okay, so it's a little bit higher than some of the previous ones we saw, but not by much, not significantly. Let's see what we have. Let's see the breakdown. 49 base arc, 16 synergy, an anti-synergy, and some meta here. Got one for the meta score because we're good on board clears. We have 1 board clear. So let's see here. For Amber Control, we have a lot of positive things. Lieutenant Volmart gets us 1.25. He is, let's see. Play Fight Reap if the tide is high, keys cost +3 during your opponent's next turn. So he's good Amber Control for sure. I mean, he's one that your opponent will want to kill. Call of the Void is another one that's our lowest. And its controller loses 1. Okay, so we have some Amber Control, not a huge amount. We have 18 Amber on the card, or expected Amber, I mean. Youngest Bear giving us a little bit, Chelonia giving us the most. I'm glad we have such a huge amount of creatures with this Chelonia, so we want to make sure to get a lot of value out of that. And for efficiency, Comm Officer Hings, obviously. Chelonia is minus because we want to hold her in our hand until we have a large amount of creatures, right? So thing to consider there. Some disruption with the Sink or Swim, Abandoned Ship, and Bubbles. Makes sense. Right, so let's see our synergies and anti-synergies. We've got anything major here really stands out. 45% with the Chelonia because we have Portal, Seabrigger, Krakoa, and all tied up that raise the tide naturally for us. Call of the Void. which is the one that exhausts a creature, and if it were exhausted, destroy it, and they lose an amber. That card gets some synergy with things that exhaust enemy creatures. So that the VALOOCANTH, we have a Tide High. We can just exhaust a creature, call the Void it, make them lose an amber and the creature. So we get a lot of value out of that. Keeping the VALOOCANTHs on the board is going to be huge with this deck. Ritual of Balance, we get things that make the enemy's keys cost more, so they're more likely to have 6 amber. So we have the Sabotage mission, Lieutenant Volmart, Ritual of Balance, and the Mookling to keep their key cost high, so we can every Untamed turn be stealing amber from them, which is great. Anything else? 65% synergy with Storm Surge and all the exhausters, obviously. 50% with Portal and things that raise the tide. Oh, okay, so I don't think we can see this. Yeah, it doesn't show up, but for General Order 24, the one that every player has to pick a house or pick a creature in play and destroy each creature of that house on their turn, that artifact, we have minus 183 synergy because we have a lot of really good reap creatures. So we have a lot of high-value creatures. So like I said earlier, this General Order 24, we'd only really play it when we're really behind on board. It's a backup card. If we ever, just get board wiped after board wiped, and we can't keep up with our opponent's creature count, we play that General Order 24 in that case. But otherwise, we'll discard it. And so, because we have a lot of good fighters and we have a lot of good reapers in this deck. We have a few good fighters. We don't have a bunch, but we have some. So yeah, overall, I think we evaluated this pretty well. Dark Tidings I'm finding to be a lot lower most of the time than I'm expecting, but I don't know. What do you guys think? What do you think about this deck? Would you have guessed 65? Go ahead and leave your comments on that, and if you like this, I appreciate a like, and if you want to see more of this content, I appreciate a subscribe. Hope you all have a good day. Bye-bye.